The most dangerous enemy you will ever face is not outside you. It is not your competitors. It is not the economy, and it is not failure. The most dangerous enemy lives inside you, speaks through your mouth, controls your emotions, whispers to your mind, and quietly decides how you treat money every single day. If you cannot control these four things, life will control you. And if you can, life will start working for you in ways you never imagined. I have seen many smart people fail and many ordinary people rise to extraordinary heights. The difference was never talent or luck. It was discipline. It was the ability to stop at the right moment, to speak less and listen more, to stay calm when the world was chaotic, to think clearly when emotions were loud, and to treat money as a servant instead of a master. These are not big theories. These are small daily choices that quietly shape your future. Let us start with the mouth, because most problems in the world begin there. People lose jobs because of one careless sentence. Friendships break because of one emotional reply. Opportunities disappear because someone spoke before thinking. Your mouth can build bridges, but it can also burn them in seconds. The most successful people I know are not the ones who talk the most, but the ones who know when not to talk. When you are angry, silence is power. When you are confused, listening is wisdom. When you are successful, humility is protection. The mouth has no reverse button. Once words leave you, they belong to the world, not to you. Control your mouth and you reduce your mistakes by half. Speak only when your words are more valuable than your silence. If you master this one skill, you will avoid years of regret. Many people believe being loud means being strong. That is not true. Strength is being able to hear criticism without breaking. Strength is choosing calm words when emotions demand harsh ones. Strength is understanding that you do not need to win every argument to win in life. When you control your mouth, you control your reputation. And your reputation will open doors long before your resume does. Now let us talk about the mind, because this is where everything truly begins. Your life today is the result of the thoughts you repeatedly accepted yesterday. If your mind is full of fear, your actions will be small. If your mind is full of excuses, your progress will be slow. If your mind is full of comparison, your happiness will disappear. Your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. It can lift you when circumstances are heavy, or it can crush you even when opportunities are in front of you. Many people are not defeated by the world. They are defeated by the conversations they have with themselves every day. They tell themselves they are too late, too poor, too ordinary, too unlucky. And slowly, these thoughts become beliefs. To control your mind does not mean you will never have negative thoughts. It means you do not allow those thoughts to stay and build a home inside you. You observe them, you question them, and you replace them. You remind yourself that every expert was once a beginner. Every success story includes years of struggle, and every failure carries a lesson if you are willing to learn. When things go wrong, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? This small change in thinking turns pain into progress. The world will not always be fair, but your response can always be intelligent. Train your mind to focus on solutions instead of complaints, on growth instead of blame, on long-term value instead of short-term comfort. The mind also needs rest. In a noisy world, clarity becomes rare. If you constantly feed your mind with distractions, negativity, and comparison, do not be surprised when you feel lost. Choose what you consume mentally with the same care you choose what you eat physically. Garbage in will always result in garbage out. Let us talk about mood, because this is what people feel when they are around you. Your mood is your emotional currency. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. A bad mood can close doors that intelligence and talent cannot open. A stable mood, on the other hand, attracts trust, respect, and opportunity. Life will test your mood every day. Delays, criticism, misunderstandings, failure, rejection. You cannot control these events, but you can control your reaction. The moment you let your mood depend on external circumstances, you give away your power. You become a puppet of situations. Emotionally mature people understand that not every feeling deserves an action. You can feel angry and still act with wisdom. You can feel disappointed and still show kindness. Mood control is not suppression, it is direction. You acknowledge what you feel, but you choose how you respond. In leadership, in business, in relationships, mood matters more than you think. People follow energy before they follow ideas. If your mood is unstable, people feel unsafe around you. If your mood is calm, people trust you even in uncertainty. This is why the higher you go in life, the more your emotional control matters. Do not allow temporary emotions to create permanent damage. One moment of uncontrolled anger can destroy years of hard work. One moment of emotional weakness can cost you an opportunity that may never return. Train yourself to pause, breathe, step back. The strongest people are not those who react fast, but those who respond wisely. Finally, let us talk about money, because money reveals who you truly are. Money does not change people, it exposes them. How you earn, spend, save, and invest money reflects your discipline, your patience, and your values. Many people dream of wealth, but few respect money enough to manage it properly. Money is like water. If you do not control it, it will flow away. If you block it without purpose, it will stagnate. You must guide it with intention. The biggest mistake people make is chasing money without understanding it. They want quick gains, easy wins, and instant success. And that is exactly why money never stays with them. Control your money by controlling your desires. Most financial problems are not income problems, they are lifestyle problems. Spending to impress people who do not see are about you is one of the fastest ways to stay poor. Wealth is built quietly. It grows when you are patient, consistent, and willing to delay gratification. Do not work only for money. Work to build skills. Skills bring value. Value brings opportunities. Opportunities bring money. When you focus only on money, you make short-term decisions. When you focus on growth, money becomes a natural byproduct. Learn to respect small amounts of money. If you cannot manage little, you will lose a lot. Track where your money goes. Plan before you spend. Invest in things that grow you, not just things that please you. Money should give you freedom, not anxiety. What connects the mouth, the mind, the mood, and money is discipline. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Discipline is doing what is necessary, even when it is uncomfortable. Discipline is invisible in the beginning, but unstoppable in the end. When you control your mouth, you build respect. When you control your mind, you build clarity. When you control your mood, you build trust. When you control your money, you build freedom. These four controls together create a life of stability, influence, and long-term success. Do not try to master everything at once. Start small. Pause before you speak. Question negative thoughts. Breathe before reacting. Track one expense today. Small control practice daily becomes powerful transformation over time. The world does not owe you success, but it will respo. ND to who you become. If you want better results, become a better version of yourself internally. External success always follows internal order. There will be days when you fail, when emotions win, when words slip, when money decisions go wrong. Do not quit. Self-mastery is not about perfection, it is about progress. Each day you become a little more aware, a little more disciplined, a little more intentional. Remember this, if you cannot control yourself, you will always be controlled by circumstances. But when you master these four areas, you no longer chase success. Success starts chasing you, quietly, steadily, and relentlessly, as you continue walking forward with calm confidence, focused intention, and a deep understanding that true power begins within you and grows stronger each time you choose control over impulse, patience over panic, wisdom over noise, and purpose over pressure. There is an ancient wisdom echoed across generations that says the one who conquers himself is greater than the one who conquers a city. This truth has survived empires, wars, and revolutions because it speaks to the deepest struggle of humanity. Every battle you face outside is only a reflection of a battle you have not yet settled inside. When the inside is aligned, the outside eventually follows. Look at how often people pray for change, but resist discipline. They ask for blessings, but avoid responsibility. They want peace without patience, rewards without sacrifice, growth without discomfort. But the law of life is clear. What you plant in secret is what you harvest in public. Control is the soil where character grows, and character is what sustains success when applause fades. When you control your mouth, you protect truth. Words can heal or harm, bless or curse, unite or divide. There is a reason wisdom traditions teach restraint of speech, because silence sharpens awareness. When you speak less, you hear more. When you listen more, you learn more. And when you learn more, you make fewer mistakes that cost years to repair. Your words should be like seeds, not weapons. Seeds take time, patience, and faith to grow, but when they do, they feed generations. A careless word can destroy trust instantly, but a thoughtful word spoken at the right time can restore hope in a broken heart. Choose to speak life, even when frustration tempts you to speak destruction. The mind, too, must be guarded. Every great teaching warns that what you allow into your thoughts eventually shapes your destiny. Fear begins as a thought. Doubt begins as a thought. Confidence, faith, courage, and vision also begin as thoughts. You are not responsible for every thought that enters your mind, but you are responsible for which ones you allow to stay. When pressure increases, the mind looks for escape. That is when discipline becomes faith in action. You remind yourself that storms are temporary, but character is permanent. You remember that delay is not denial, and silence does not mean abandonment. Growth often happens in seasons when nothing seems to be happening at all. Patience is not weakness. It is trust in a process larger than your understanding. Just as roots grow deeper before branches rise higher, your inner strength is being formed before your outer breakthrough becomes visible. If you rush the process, you risk collapsing under the weight of success you are not yet prepared to carry. Your mood is the mirror of your inner state. When your inner world is chaotic, your emotions become unstable. When your inner world is disciplined, your emotions become anchored. There will be moments when life provokes you unfairly, when people misunderstand you, when results fall short of effort. In those moments, your mood becomes your testimony. A calm spirit in chaos is a form of leadership. It tells the world you are not driven by impulse, but by principle. It shows that you trust something deeper than circumstances. Emotional control does not mean you feel less. It means you are ruled less by what you feel. There is strength in gentleness, power in restraint, and authority in humility. When you stop allowing small things to disturb your peace, you begin to live from a higher place. Peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of self-control. Money, too, follows spiritual laws, whether people acknowledge them or not. What is gained without wisdom is often lost without warning. What is managed with integrity multiplies quietly. Wealth is N-O-T, just a number. It is a reflection of stewardship. Those who are faithful with little learn how to handle more. Money responds to discipline, not desperation. When you chase it in fear, it runs away. When you manage it with patience, it stays. When you honor it with responsibility, it grows. Financial peace comes not from having everything you want, but from wanting what aligns with your purpose. Greed empties the soul, but contentment strengthens it. This does not mean settling for less. It means knowing the difference between ambition and excess. True abundance is having enough to fulfill your mission, support others, and sleep at night without fear. Every generation learns this truth the hard way. Uncontrolled desire leads to controlled lives. But disciplined desire leads to freedom, freedom of choice, freedom of time, freedom of conscience. Money should never own you. You should direct it toward meaning, not allow it to dictate your worth. These four areas are deeply connected. When your mouth is uncontrolled, your relationships suffer. When your mind is undisciplined, your vision collapses. When your mood is unstable, your influence weakens. When your money lacks direction, your future becomes fragile. But when all four are aligned, life begins to move with clarity and purpose. You will notice that the strongest people are not the loudest, the richest, or the most visible. They are the most grounded. They are steady in uncertainty, measured in success, and humble in achievement. They do not need to announce their strength. It is felt in their presence. There will be moments when you feel tired of being disciplined, while others seem to enjoy shortcuts. Do not be discouraged. What looks like delay is often protection. What feels like restraint is often preparation. The reward for self-control is not just success, but sustainability. Every day, you are given opportunities to practice mastery. In a conversation, in a decision, in a reaction, in a purchase. These moments seem small, but they are sacred. They are shaping who you are becoming. The world celebrates talent, but life rewards discipline. Talent opens doors, but discipline keeps them open. Talent may bring attention, but discipline builds legacy. When attention fades and trends change, discipline remains. Continue choosing control over chaos. Continue choosing wisdom over impulse. Continue choosing long-term purpose over short-term pleasure. Not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. One day, you will look back and realize that the greatest victory of your life was not a deal you closed, a title you earned, or a number you reached, but the moment you learned to govern yourself with patience, clarity, and quiet strength, allowing your life to rise steadily, grounded in truth, guided by purpose, and strengthened by discipline that no circumstance could ever take away. There is a quiet moment in every person's life when they realize that no one is coming to save them. Not mentors, not systems, not miracles from the outside. That moment is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. Because the day you understand that responsibility is power is the day you stop waiting and start building. Ancient wisdom reminds us that each person must carry their own load, and in that truth there is dignity, not burden. Control begins when you stop blaming. Blaming circumstances is easy. Blaming people is comforting. But blaming yourself is transformative. Not in a way that crushes you, but in a way that hands you back control. When you accept that your choices matter more than your conditions, you step into maturity, and maturity is the foundation of all lasting success. Life tests your mouth when you are misunderstood. It tests your mind when results are slow. It tests your mood when you are treated unfairly. It tests your money habits when temptation is strong. These tests are not punishments, they are training. Just as muscles grow through resistance, character grows through pressure. There is a sacred discipline in restraint. Wisdom traditions teach that restraint is not loss but protection. The one who guards his words preserves his soul. The one who disciplines his thoughts renews his strength. The one who rules his emotions walks in peace. The one who honors resources builds provision for tomorrow. These truths have not changed, even if the world pretends they are outdated. The modern world celebrates speed, but life honors timing. Russ, Edwards, damage trust. Rushed decisions create regret. Rushed emotions lead to broken relationships. Rushed wealth disappears quickly. Slowness, when guided by wisdom, becomes accuracy. And accuracy saves years. Your silence at the right time can be louder than arguments. Your patience can speak when explanations fail. Your consistency can prove what promises cannot. Do not underestimate the power of quiet obedience to principles that do not trend but endure. There will be seasons when doing the right thing feels lonely, when controlling yourself feels unrewarded, when integrity feels invisible. But remember, roots grow in darkness before trees appear in sunlight. What is hidden is not wasted. The unseen work is what allows you to stand when storms arrive. Your mind must learn to trust beyond what it can see. Faith is not denial of difficulty. It is confidence that difficulty is not the end. Even the longest night eventually bows to morning. But those who panic in the dark often miss the dawn. When doubt visits your thoughts, do not entertain it as truth. Question it. Ask where it came from. Ask who benefits if you believe it. Fear often pretends to be wisdom, but wisdom produces clarity, not paralysis. Replace fear-based thinking with principle-based thinking. Principles do not change with moods or markets. Your emotional world will be challenged by people who do not understand your journey. Some will mock your discipline. Some will tempt your weakness. Some will misun. Just stand your silence. Let them. You are not responsible for their reactions, only for your response. A controlled mood is not coldness, it is stability. It is choosing not to spill your inner chaos onto others. It is protecting your peace because you understand its value. Peace is expensive. It costs ego, impulse, and the need to be right, but it pays in clarity and strength. In moments of pressure, return to gratitude. Gratitude realigns perspective. It reminds you of what is working when your mind is focused on what is missing. Those who give thanks in little prepare their hearts for more. Gratitude does not ignore struggle. It puts struggle in proper proportion. Money, too, must be seen through a higher lens. Wealth without wisdom becomes a burden. Possessions without purpose become chains. True provision is not about excess. It is about sufficiency aligned with mission. When money serves purpose, it becomes meaningful. When it replaces purpose, it becomes empty. Many people want increase without instruction, but increase follows understanding. Understanding follows humility, and humility begins with the willingness to learn from mistakes. Every financial lesson paid for with pain carries wisdom, if you are humble enough to receive it. Do not envy what you did not earn, because you do not know what it costs to maintain. What looks like success without discipline is often debt disguised as luxury. True stability is quiet. It is not flashy, but it is firm. As you grow, your standards must rise faster than your income. Your discipline must rise faster than your opportunities. Your character must rise faster than your influence. Otherwise, what lifts you up will also pull you apart. Remember that leadership begins with self-governance. If you cannot lead your impulses, you cannot lead people. If you cannot manage your reactions, you cannot manage responsibility. Authority flows naturally to those who have mastered themselves. Each day is a small altar where choices are offered, words or silence, faith or fear, patience or impulse, stewardship or waste. These choices seem ordinary, but they are sacred. Over time, they shape destiny. Do not despise small acts of control. A single disciplined response today may protect you from a major crisis tomorrow. A single wise decision now may unlock doors years later. Nothing is wasted when it is done with intention. Walk forward knowing that mastery is a journey, not a moment. There will be slips, but there must be no surrender. You are being shaped, refined, and strengthened through every conscious choice you make to live above impulse and beneath principle, allowing your life to become a testimony of quiet power, steady growth, and a strength that flows not from dominance over others, but from deep and unwavering command over yourself. There comes a point in the journey where discipline is no longer something you force yourself to practice, but something that becomes part of who you are. At that saint, age, control no longer feels heavy. It feels natural. Like walking a familiar path in the dark, you move with confidence because your steps have been trained by repetition. This is when life begins to respond differently to you, not because circumstances changed, but because you did. Ancient wisdom often speaks of the narrow path, not because it is cruel, but because it protects. Wide paths invite distraction. Narrow paths demand focus. When you choose restraint in a world addicted to excess, you may feel out of place, but being out of place is often a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Not everything popular is valuable, and not everything valuable is popular. Your mouth will be tested when success arrives. Pride whispers that you deserve applause, that others need to know how far you've come. But humility is the shield that protects success. Speak with grace when you are rising, because the same mouth that celebrates today must navigate storms tomorrow. Honor those who helped you. Respect those who doubted you. Silence envy with consistency, not explanations. Your mind will be tested when growth slows. There will be seasons when effort seems disconnected from results. This is where many people abandon their principles. But wisdom teaches that endurance refines purpose. What is built quickly often collapses quietly. What is built patiently stands when pressure comes. Do not measure progress only by outcomes. Measure it by who you are becoming. The unseen battles in your mind matter more than the visible victories outside. When no one is watching, your thoughts reveal your true direction. Guard them. Feed them with truth, not fear. Remind yourself that timing is not punishment and waiting is not weakness. The seed is never stressed about becoming a tree. It simply stays rooted and grows. Your mood will be tested when authority increases. The more responsibility you carry, the more pressure you will face. Power reveals emotional maturity. Those who lose control when elevated were never ready for the height. Stability under pressure is a rare strength. It tells others they can trust you with more. Be slow to anger, quick to understand, and steady in response. Emotional reactions satisfy the ego but weaken influence. Controlled emotions build credibility. People follow those who can absorb pressure without spreading panic. In uncertain times, calm becomes currency. Money will be tested when options expand. When you finally can afford more, discipline must decide what you actually need. Wealth tests values more than poverty ever could. Poverty teaches survival. Wealth teaches stewardship. What you choose to do when you have excess reveals who you truly are. Do not let money amplify your weaknesses. Let it strengthen your principles. Use it to create, to serve, to build, to give. Resources placed in the hands of disciplined people become tools for impact. Resources placed in the hands of impulsive people become traps. Scripture, inspired truth, reminds us that where attention goes, provision follows. If your heart is set on meaning, money aligns with purpose. If your heart is set on status, money becomes a burden you constantly defend. Choose wisely what you worship, because you eventually resemble what you prioritize. You're being shaped for something larger than comfort. Comfort dulls awareness, but discipline sharpens vision. The discomfort of self-control today prevents the chaos of regret tomorrow. Short-term pain with long-term peace is always wiser than short-term pleasure with long-term consequences. As you grow, you will notice fewer external battles feel urgent. When your inner world is ordered, the outer world loses its power to shake you. You stop reacting to every opinion. You stop chasing validation. You stop explaining your discipline to people committed to distraction. Instead, you move quietly. You listen more. You act with intention. You allow results to speak. This is not withdrawal from the world. It is mastery within it. You are present without being provoked, engaged without being consumed. Remember that life does not reward intensity. It rewards consistency. Anyone can be disciplined for a week. Few can be disciplined for years. But years of small, controlled decisions compound into something unshakable. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Do not grow tired of choosing the higher road. The higher road may feel lonely, but it leads to clarity. It leads to peace. It leads to a life where your words carry weight, your thoughts carry direction, your emotions carry wisdom, and your resources carry purpose. And as you continue forward, grounded in restraint, guided by truth, and strengthened by daily discipline, you will realize that the greatest freedom you could ever experience was never found in having more, reacting faster, or proving yourself louder, but in the quiet, steady authority of a person who has learned to rule from within, standing firm no matter how the world shifts around them. At this stage of the journey, something subtle begins to happen. You stop fighting yourself. The inner resistance fades, and in its place comes alignment. What once required effort now feels intentional. You no longer need constant motivation because discipline has become conviction. Conviction does not shout, it stands firm. It does not depend on applause, it moves forward even when no one notices. There is a truth echoed in sacred teachings. A house divided against itself cannot stand. When your words say one thing, your thoughts another, your emotions another, and your spending yet another, life feels exhausting. But when these parts are brought into harmony, strength multiplies. Unity within creates power without. You walk lighter because you are no longer carrying internal conflict. Your mouth begins to reflect wisdom rather than impulse. You speak with purpose, not pressure. You learn that encouragement costs nothing but can change everything. You understand that correction, when needed, must be wrapped in respect because truth spoken without compassion becomes noise. You no longer speak to be heard. You speak to build. Your mind becomes a place of order, not chaos. Instead of rehearsing worst-case scenarios, you rehearse principles. When uncertainty knocks, you answer with preparation. When fear whispers, you respond with remembrance of past victories. You realize that many of the battles you once fought were never real. They were imagined outcomes that never arrived. In moments of heaviness, you anchor yourself in truth older than trends. Truth that reminds you that perseverance refines the soul, that trials test sincerity, and that endurance produces maturity. You stop asking for lighter burdens and start asking for stronger shoulders. And slowly, quietly, you become that strength. Your mood matures into discernment. You no longer react to everything that demands your attention. You learn the power of selective engagement. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every invitation deserves your time. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. Peace is protected not by isolation, but by wisdom. This emotional discipline creates space. Space to think, space to lead, space to see beyond the moment. Others may rush, panic, or perform, but you remain steady. And in that steadiness, people begin to rely on you. Not because you have all the answers, but because you do not collapse under pressure. Nay, too, starts to obey structure instead of impulse. You stop seeing it as a measure of worth and start seeing it as a tool of stewardship. You plan before you spend. You think before you risk. You give with intention, not guilt. You save with vision, not fear. This balance creates confidence, not anxiety. You understand that provision flows toward responsibility. Resources are drawn to those who know how to handle them. This is not luck, it is law. When discipline leads, increase follows. When wisdom guides, stability grows. When patience governs, abundance lasts. There is a deeper joy that comes from this kind of life. Not excitement that fades quickly, but fulfillment that stays. Fulfillment rooted in integrity. Fulfillment that allows you to rest at night knowing your life is aligned with your values. Fulfillment that does not depend on constant validation. You begin to notice that temptations lose their power, not because they disappear, but because you have outgrown them. What once distracted you now feels empty. What once impressed you now feels shallow. Growth changes your appetite. You start craving depth over display, meaning over noise, substance over appearance. Sacred wisdom reminds us that wisdom cries out quietly, while folly shouts for attention. When you choose restraint, you tune your ear to wisdom. When you choose discipline, you position yourself for guidance. Direction becomes clearer because your life is no longer cluttered with unnecessary battles. As your inner life strengthens, your outer path simplifies. Decisions become easier because principles guide them. Relationships become healthier because boundaries protect them. Work becomes meaningful because purpose fuels it. You are no longer scattered, you are centered. This does not mean life becomes effortless. Challenges will still come. Pressure will still test you. But now, challenges refine rather than derail you. Pressure sharpens rather than breaks you. You face difficulties with a calm confidence rooted in self-mastery. You begin to live from a place of quiet authority, not authority granted by titles, but authority earned through consistency. People sense it, they trust it, they respect it, because you are not ruled by impulse, opinion, or fear. And as the journey continues, you realize that the greatest gift discipline has given you is not control over circumstances, but clarity of direction. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. You know what you will not compromise. In a world constantly shifting, this clarity becomes your anchor, holding you steady as you move forward with resolve, humility, and a deep, unshakable strength formed not by chance, but by daily choices to live governed from within. At some point, you stop asking life for permission to become who you were meant to be. You realize that clarity does not come from more information, but from deeper obedience to what you already know is right. Truth has always been simple. It is this ego that complicates it. When you align with truth, decisions stop draining you. They energize you because you are no longer negotiating with your conscience. There is an inner witness that never sleeps. It observes every word you choose, every thought you entertain, every emotion you indulge, every transaction you justify. You can ignore it, but you cannot escape it. Those who learn to live in agreement with this inner witness walk with confidence, even in uncertainty. Those who silence it may gain speed, but they lose direction. When your mouth is disciplined, your integrity becomes audible even in silence. People trust you not because you explain yourself well, but because your words and actions agree. Consistency creates credibility. Credibility creates influence. And influence, when grounded in restraint, becomes impact. You begin to understand that persuasion is not about force, but about alignment. When your inner world is ordered, your presence carries weight. You do not need to dominate conversations. You do not need to announce authority. Calm assurance speaks louder than urgency ever could. Your mind, now trained, stops wandering toward fear when uncertainty appears. Instead, it leans into remembrance. You remember that every previous challenge once felt impossible until it wasn't. You remember that growth has always required patience. You remember that what is delayed is often deepened. This remembrance strengthens you more than motivation ever could. Seker. D-Wisdom teaches that those who wait are not idle. They are being renewed. Waiting sharpens vision. It filters intention. It removes haste disguised as ambition. When your mind accepts this, anxiety loses its grip. You stop rushing outcomes and start honoring processes. Your emotional life also reaches a new depth. You no longer confuse intensity with importance. You can feel deeply without reacting recklessly. This balance gives you the rare ability to hold space for others without losing yourself. Compassion grows stronger when it is not fueled by impulse, but anchored in wisdom. You become slower to judge and quicker to understand. You recognize that everyone is carrying unseen weight. This awareness does not make you weak, it makes you grounded. You lead without crushing, correct without humiliating, and disagree without dishonoring. This kind of emotional strength builds loyalty without demanding it. Money decisions begin to reflect foresight rather than fear. You stop using resources to soothe emotions or prove worth. Instead, money becomes aligned with vision. You plan not just for comfort, but for continuity. You think in seasons, not moments. You begin to see that sustainability is more powerful than speed. Scripture-inspired truth reminds us that wisdom stores up provision, while haste scatters it. You live this out quietly. You resist pressure to display success prematurely. You invest in foundations others cannot see. And over time, what is built in wisdom begins to speak for itself. As discipline deepens, distractions lose their appeal. You are no longer pulled in every direction. You choose fewer things, but you choose them well. Focus becomes your advantage in a distracted world. While others burn energy chasing noise, you conserve strength for what matters. There is also a new kind of courage that forms within you. Not the loud courage that seeks attention, but the steady courage that holds convictions under pressure. You do not bend to trends that conflict with principle. You do not trade long-term peace for short-term approval. This courage is quiet, but it is immovable. You begin to notice that your life is no longer reactive. It is intentional. You wake up knowing why you do what you do. Even mundane tasks carry meaning because they serve a larger purpose. Purpose transforms effort into devotion. And when setbacks come, as they always do, they no longer define you. They refine you. You extract wisdom instead of resentment. You adjust without collapsing. You recover without becoming bitter. This resilience is not accidental. It is the fruit of long obedience to self-mastery. You are no longer chasing balance. You are living alignment. Your words support your visio. N. Your thoughts support your actions. Your emotions support your leadership. Your resources support your mission. This alignment creates momentum that does not depend on external validation. As the journey continues, you understand something most never do. That self-control is not restriction, it is liberation. It frees you from the tyranny of impulse, the exhaustion of pretense, and the instability of reaction. It gives you the rare privilege of living deliberately, and in that deliberate life, shaped by restraint, guided by wisdom, and sustained by inner order, you move forward with a strength that does not need to be proven, a peace that cannot be purchased, and a resolve that remains steady regardless of applause or adversity, because your life is no longer driven by the world around you, but governed by truth firmly rooted within you. There will come a day when you realize that the greatest battles you fought were never against people, systems, or circumstances, but against the quieter forces within you. The moments you chose silence over reaction, the days you chose discipline over desire, the times you chose patience over panic. Those choices did not feel heroic at the time, but they shaped the person you became. And that person is stronger than you ever imagined. When life looks back at you, it will not measure you by how loud you were, how fast you moved, or how much you accumulated. It will reveal you by how steady you stood when it mattered most, by the integrity. Thank you kept when no one was watching, by the peace you protected when chaos tried to claim you, by the wisdom you chose when impulse demanded control. You were never meant to live at the mercy of your moods, your fears, your words, or your wants. You were meant to rise above them, to govern them, to transform them into tools rather than chains. Every time you pause before speaking, you reclaim power. Every time you redirect a thought, you reshape destiny. Every time you master emotion, you protect your future. Every time you handle resources with purpose, you build freedom. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is about waking up each day with the courage to choose what is right over what is easy, to walk the path that strengthens you, even when it feels lonely, to trust that what you are becoming is far more important than what you are gaining. One day, without realizing when it happened, you will notice that your presence calms rooms, your words carry weight, your decisions feel clear, and your life feels grounded. Not because the world became gentle, but because you became governed. And in that governance, you will find a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken, a peace that does not depend on conditions, and a strength that flows from deep within. Keep walking. Keep choosing discipline. Keep mastering yourself in small, unseen ways. Because the life you are building through control, patience, and wisdom will one day stand as undeniable proof that True power is not found in conquering the world, but in ruling yourself with courage, humility, and unwavering resolve.